It feels like it's been a long time coming, but I can now officially say that I am credit card debt free. Ah! Hey y'all, it's Keshia Life and Style. Welcome back to another video. And if you're new here, welcome. If you haven't read by the title, today's video is all about how I paid off about $45,000 in credit card debt. So stay tuned to get all the tea, because I'm about to tell y'all 5 things I did to help me wipe out $45,000 in credit card debt in under 3 years. But first, before we get into it, why wait? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can become a part of the KLS community, okay? First things first is story time. So I wanted to tell y'all really quick, how did I get in $45,000 worth of credit card debt? And to be honest, 45,000 is like the rough number. It's probably a little bit higher, but I couldn't find my screenshot, so I was just like, I'm close enough. How I got into $45,000 of credit card debt was 2 things. About $10,000 of that debt is debt that I had racked up myself, doing silly things like putting a down payment on a new car with my credit card. Don't ever do that. And then just the normal stuff, just shopping and just going out, have a good time, being frivolous, not paying attention, being careless, you know, being young, and not really watching what I was doing. So $10,000 was my wild behavior. And then the other $35,000 came with me helping someone that is very close to me. They were in a rough situation at the time and they needed some help, and me being me, I wanted to help. Now, originally the intention wasn't to rack up $35,000, but you know, once we got going, it just got out of hand and the need just kept happening. So I wound up in an extra $35,000 worth of credit card debt on top of the debt that I already had. Before I get into the actual what I did, I want to say I sat on this debt for some years because I was in denial, because I was just like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. But in all reality, it was my fault. I allowed this to happen. Even though the intention was good and pure, it was still my responsibility. I had to come to terms with the fact that I had to buckle down on this and I had to get this done, and no one's gonna handle it but me. So from there, I started off with a game plan and I got serious and I was ready to execute. But what I wanted to do in my debt-free journey is I still wanted to enjoy life in the process. So disclaimer, what I'm about to tell you is what worked for me. By no means am I telling y'all to go out and do the same thing, but if you watch this entire video, it is your responsibility to chew the meat and spit out the bones. So what that means is whatever you take from it that is relevant for you, you take that and then you throw out the unnecessary parts, okay? First step that I did was I wrote down every credit card balance I had along with the APR, or the interest rate. And what this did was it helped me to clearly identify what I was looking at, how much money needed to be paid off, what interest was accruing on that particular debt, and allowed me to properly map out what my plan is going to be. It is important to understand the interest that you're earning because it will determine which card or debt you need to tackle first. Because the goal is to knock down as much debt as you can, paying the least amount of interest. The second thing that I did was decided on a debt payoff method. The debt payoff method that I chose was the snowball method. And what that is you start with the smallest debt first and then you build your way up to the highest debt. There were 2 reasons why I decided on this method. The first reason was because my smallest balances, or the cards with the smallest balance, had the highest interest rate. Now, even though you're like, well, it's still a small balance, so it's not earning as much interest as the other card, it was like, I don't know, a 9-10% difference. So for me, I was like, let me just knock this one out so I can get it done. And that's the second reason, is the smallest balance was easiest for me to tackle first. So I decided to work with the smallest balance and work my way up. Because when it comes to debt payoff, what you need is time. You need time to actually execute the payoff process. The third thing that I did was I took advantage of balance transfer. So at the time, I had one credit card that had a pretty decent credit limit, and they sent me an email that I was eligible for a balance transfer. So I looked into it. The balance transfer was for 10 months, and I said, okay, if I do this balance transfer, I have 10 months to pay off the balance. So what I decided to do was I decided to transfer over a little over $10,000 at a 3% balance transfer rate. And then I mapped out a plan to pay that balance off before the 10 months is up. I wanted to be a little bit more aggressive with the smallest balance because I knew once I freed that up, it'll give me some wiggle room. So what I did was I created a timeline for myself to get it done in less than 10 months, which we're going to talk a little bit about later. The thing to remember when you decide, or if you decide to do a balance transfer on a credit card, is you have to pay off that balance in its entirety before that promotion period is up. Because if you carry a balance past the time frame that you were allowed to pay off the debt, you're going to accumulate all that interest from the original time that you did the balance transfer. So you end up paying a lot more than what you intended if you don't pay it off within that term. Whatever you decide to do, make sure you have a plan to get it paid off during that term and make sure you execute it. The fourth thing that I did was I set timelines, and I set realistic timelines. I was not trying to set myself up for failure, so I wasn't gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna pay this amount off in 5 months, 4 months. And I know you've seen videos out there that say, oh, how I paid off this amount of debt in this short amount of time. Absolutely, it's possible, but it's not realistic for majority of everyday working normal people. So going back to the first balance transfer that I did of a little over $10,000, I decided I wanted to pay it off in 6 months. So what I did was I took that balance, I divided it by 6, and it gave me a number of what I was supposed to pay each month in order to pay it off. By doing this, it led me to my last step to paying off the debt, which is generating extra income, which you knew it was coming. In order to pay off debt, you need to generate extra income. You are not going to be able to do it with just whatever you got going on, because most of the time those funds are allocated for something else: rent, light bill, groceries, gas, food, like everything. So you're gonna need to give yourself some residual, some extra. And how I went about creating extra income for myself were 2 ways. The first method that I used to generate extra income was overtime. Y'all know I work a regular 9 to 5. So I had a conversation with my boss, and as phenomenal and wonderful as she is, shout out to you. She was like, do what you need to do. So she allowed me to work as much overtime as I wanted. So I was working 6 days a week. That 6th day was a half a day, but I was able to get time and a half. And I would allow myself 1 week where I did not do any overtime, just to create some balance for myself and to actually have a full weekend off. The second method of extra income was YouTube. So through my YouTube platform, I advertised my affiliate links, and it generated me a decent amount of income. And with that income, what I did was I allocated 25% of that income towards my debt that I would pay every month. I did go a little bit higher than that just because I was getting closer to the deadline. So I ended up taking more money from my affiliate revenue and paying towards the debt. But for a good portion of the time, I was allocating 25% of whatever I made through affiliate links towards my debt. With doing overtime at my job every week and the affiliate income that I had allocated towards debt, I was able to pay off $45,000 worth of debt over time. Now, this took 3 years, like I said, so it was definitely a process and it wasn't something that happened in a few months, but I stayed consistent and I did not give up. After I paid off the first credit card, I completed the same process with the next credit card with a higher balance. I did a balance transfer. If they offered me a promotion, 3% balance transfer rate, so I had no interest for 10 months or 11 months, whatever it was, because it was different terms each time. And then I made a plan to pay it off. It took time, it took patience, it took sacrifice. But one thing I wanted to do that I feel a lot of content creators or financial gurus say is they teach more about being aggressive. And I did not want to be super aggressive. I wanted to be aggressive because I wanted to get it paid off, but I still wanted to enjoy life in the process. So I still did things that I enjoyed. I still went to dinner. I still hung out with friends and family. I did mini trips here and there. I just obviously budget my finances and allow myself some wiggle room. And it was the best method for me. I just didn't want to feel like I'm putting everything that I worked for towards the debt and not enjoying myself. So I had to create a little bit of balance. If you are on a debt-free journey, when you're trying to eliminate credit card debt, student loans, whatever it is, just know that it is possible, and all you need is a good plan, and you need patience and sacrifice. And that's all you need, because once you master your plan, once you get your routine going, it's just gonna be like smooth sailing from there. You're gonna be able to see your progress. You're gonna get excited about your progress. It's gonna make you want to even go harder, or it's just gonna produce more excitement for you. And let me tell you, knowing that I don't have that big balance over my head, it just feels so freeing, so exciting. And now I have educated myself on credit cards and how they work, and I'm not afraid of it. I'm not like, oh, I paid off my debt, I'm not gonna use my credit cards anymore because I've been known, because now I am responsible, I understand how they work, and I use them to my advantage. So I say all that to say, you keep going, you don't give up, you keep thugging it out, because you gonna get there, okay? And it's gonna be an amazing feeling, and I'm super excited for you. If you like the content and want to support, hit the super thanks or super chat. Your contributions will help me continue to create awesome content for you all and continue to grow my channel. Join the KLS community for exclusive content. Hit the link in the comments below. And with that being said, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and meet me in the comments so we could chop it up. And until next time, bye.